There's a shed at the end of the garden where the kettle's always on, and an old man keeps on writing though the world he knew has gone. Letters from the shed, words like morning rain. Pull up a chair and stay a while, I'm very glad you came.
Hello and welcome to the first podcast from View from the Shed. My name's Stanley and I've been writing on Substack for some time now, but a friend of mine suggested I do a podcast. Now I didn't really know what that was, so I looked up podcasts, how to do it, and here we are. So I'm hoping to do this weekly, possibly twice a week. It won't be a narration of my Substack text. I'll try to expand on things a little bit, and hopefully it'll be a little bit more interesting. So there we go, that's my introduction. Hopefully you'll enjoy it, and hope to see you again. Thank you for listening so far. For this week's topic, I've chosen the World Cup. It's on, and I'm watching it, but not with any great enthusiasm. I've nothing against football, and players are extraordinary, and the goals are still a goal, but somewhere between my telly and the settee, something doesn't quite seem right. And whilst I couldn't quite put my finger on it at first, I know now what it is. It's FIFA. That tournament spread over the United States, Mexico and Canada. 48 nations, 16 host cities, and the biggest World Cup in history. But FIFA always says that. They always say that the World Cup's the biggest, the greatest, the most watched. They sound like a market trader. Now, in my part of the world, we know a little bit about a good market. We have Bury Market, world famous as it'll tell you itself, and it's well worth a visit if you're partial to black pudding and tripe. The difference is that, like most markets, Bury Market will deliver. It all started before the tournament did. The Senegal squad were met on the runway at San Antonio, searched from head to toe. Uzbekistan were greeted with sniffer dogs. The Somali referee selected by FIFA to officiate, he was the first from his country ever to do so, was turned away at Miami airport. He had a valid visa clasped in his hand, but he still got sent back on the next plane. The Iraqi team had trouble as well. The team photographer was refused entry, and one of their strikers was locked up for 7 hours. The Iranian squad gave up altogether. They relocated their training base to Tijuana in Mexico, commuting across the border for their matches because their support staff couldn't get in. Then Iran's ticket allocation was withdrawn days before the first game. These people are guests. This was not a welcome. You cannot hold a world tournament in a country that is turning people away at the border, detaining visitors and running immigration raids that have left whole communities in the host cities frightened to leave their house. Most of the matches are in America. So is the final. A fan following their team has got no way around that. America can run itself however it chooses to do it. That's not my argument. My argument is simpler. When you open a world tournament, you open a door. If the sign on the door says some people aren't welcome, then is that the right place to hold the tournament? The press are all over this at the moment, but they seem to be concentrating on the way that America is responding politically to the events. But I think they've got the blame in the wrong place. And here's why. You don't blame the rain for getting wet if you decide you're going to walk outside in a storm. FIFA awarded this tournament to North America in 2018. That was during the first Trump administration. The direction of travel was plain enough then. When circumstances hardened, FIFA pressed on anyway. No conditions, no caveats. The question that needed answering now are FIFA's, and by named individuals and in public. Who decided to proceed without any guarantee of safe passage for fans? Who signed a host agreement with no enforceable protection for supporters? Who decided the television money, the sponsorship money, and the 48-team expansion? It appears to me to go against the whole principle of the World Cup, and that the World Cup belongs to the world. Someone has made those decisions. We need to know who. When he was questioned recently, the FIFA president, Gianni Infantino, told the world that they should chill, relax. I dare say the Somali referee sat in Miami airport with his valid visa and nowhere to go found that very settling. FIFA has got form on this. Qatar should have settled this argument for good. It didn't. Controversy, inquiry, revenues, repeat the same cycle all the time, like clockwork. Nobody has ever stopped it. In December at the World Cup draw in Washington, Infantino presented Donald Trump with the first ever FIFA Peace Prize. 3 weeks earlier, Trump had been passed over for the Nobel Prize. No selection criteria were given. Everyone outside FIFA knew exactly what that was about. Not every encouragement to comply with your agenda is passed under the door of a toilet in a brown paper envelope. If this tournament passes without a proper reckoning, the next host selection will follow exactly the same logic. Saudi Arabia 2034 is already confirmed, and the clock is already running. I just hope the Olympic Committee are watching this and learn from it. When I grew up, football was jumpers for goalposts, 30-a-side on the common, rules decided by whoever argued the loudest, and the game ended when Jack's mum shouted for him to come home for his tea, and he took his ball home. That was that. It was his ball, so that was the end of the game. Rochdale, my local club, dropped out of the Football League in 2023. 102 years they'd been in it. One bad season and the town loses something it spent a century building. The gap between a Premier League squad's weekly wage and the Rochdale's annual turnover, it isn't a gap anymore, it's just a different country. Bury, my adopted home for many years, was worse. Founded in 1885, 2 FA Cups in the cabinet, expelled from the Football League in 2019 after 134 years when the money ran out. The owner had paid £1 for the club, £1, and no plan for the club that anyone ever managed to find. The fans did what football fans do when everything else has gone. They bought Gigg Lane back. They built a club from nothing, argued, voted, merged, then walked back into their own ground for the 2023-24 season. 9th tier of English football. They've been climbing ever since, but it belongs to them. It's theirs. Nobody in FIFA would understand a word of that. Come August, when the real football season starts, you'll find me down at the local park. Volunteers, a tea urn, a linesman who's somebody's granddad. Jack took his ball home because it was his. That's fair enough. But whose ball is football today? And when do we get it back? Well, that's it for this one. Thanks for listening. If you've enjoyed it, tell somebody. It's the best way to keep the lights on in the shed. The written version is on Substack if you want it, with some others if you want to read those. I'll be back when I've got something else to say. Ta-ra then, till next time. Oh, and by the way, I've left my theme song running. I quite like it. Tell us what you think.
There's a shed at the end of the garden where the kettle's always on, and an old man keeps on writing though the world he knew has gone. Letters from the shed, words like morning rain. Pull up a chair and stay a while, I'm very glad you came. There's a gaudy Turkish barber where the butcher used to be, and a vape shop, not the cafe, where the old lads drank their tea. Letters from the shed, stories soft and true. Pour yourself a cup of tea, I saved a seat for you. Have you noticed no one talks now on the bus or in the queue? Have you felt the world grow stranger even in the things you knew? So before you say there's nothing left, no reason left to try, come and sit beside this old man and let me tell you why. Letters from the shed, from a world that's fading fast. Letters from the shed, but some things are built to last. Still here, still here. kettle's singing.